Hello students, welcome back to my tutorial for learning MySQL. In this video, let us learn about MySQL functions. The MySQL functions have been categorized into various categories such as string functions, mathematical functions, date and time functions, and so on. In this video, let us learn about the mathematical functions. The mathematical functions or the number functions are those functions that accept numeric value and after performing the required operation return numeric values. Some useful numeric functions are being discussed here. These include the power or the power function, the round, and the mod function. So let us have a look at each one of these functions. First of all, we have the power function. The power function returns m raised to the nth power of a number. So whenever we want to calculate the power of a number, we can use the power function in MySQL. For example, 4 square is 4 into 4, which is equal to 16. We already know that 4 square is equal to 16. Here m is the base and n is the exponent. So in this example, 4 is the base and 2 is the exponent. Let me show you with this example. Some students are confused. They think that 4 square is equal to 4 into 2, which is wrong. 4 into 2 is equal to 8. So you can see the answer is totally different. So 4 square is equal to 4 into 4, which is equal to 16. So keep in mind that we can use the power function to calculate the nth power of a number. So this is wrong. 4 into 2 is equal to 8. It's not equal to 4 square. So now I hope you understand and keep in mind the syntax. This is the syntax for the power function. I would like to explain to you by demonstrating in a command lines client. So here let me show you on how to use the power function. So just write select power, then give two number, one which is for the base and another one is for the exponent. Here I wrote 4 and 2, which is equal to 16. Next, let me show you some more example. So let me take another example for the power function. So here let me give a name for the column. So the column name here is my column. So this is the output, that means 3 square, which is equal to 9. This power function works with both the positive and the negative numbers. So in this example, I just showed to you the positive numbers. So let's try some more example using the power function. What if I give a floating point number? Here you can see I am providing a floating point number for the base. So here 3.2 is a floating point number and we are getting the answer. So the power function also works with the floating point numbers. So we can calculate the power of a floating point numbers using power. Next, let us try for the exponential part. For the exponent also, I'm giving the floating point number. So here you can see both floating point numbers for the base and the exponent. So we are getting this result. Next, after we have learned all these for positive number, now let me show you on how to work with the negative numbers. So now let me show to you on how to find the power of negative numbers. So first of all, I'm taking the negative of the exponent. So here also you can do that. For the base, give any number with a negative, which is a negative number. So now I'm giving for both the base and the exponent as negative number. So let me provide a column name for this command. So I'm giving a name to this as my column. So now you can see that the power function works with both the positive as well as the negative numbers. So you can set as positive or negative to both the base and the exponents. And the column name, you can give any name that you want. So here my call is name of the column. So moving on, let me show you some more examples using the power function of MySQL. You must have created a database with few tables. So as for example, I'm using this database that I already created. This is the database name. Now inside this database, I have a students table. So let me show you on how to use the power function with tables. So here you can see after showing the tables, the table name that I have in this database is students. So let me display the records in this students table. So we have 3 records. Now to calculate some mathematical operations on this record, so let me show you. For example, let us calculate the power of the IP marks. Here we have the column IP marks. You can see we have 4 columns: student ID, name, IP marks, and percentage. So let us calculate the power of the IP marks. So here you can see we have 3 records. So let me show you on how to calculate the power of these 3 records at once. So here IP marks is the field name and 2 is the exponents. So the IP marks will be calculated as the base and the exponent here is 2. So remember to write the students, that means the name of the table. So first of all, let me show you on all the 3 records first. So you can see the IP marks of all these 3 students has been changed. It is showing the power of IP marks. So now if I want to specifically calculate only for one student, for any student name, Suppose if I want to calculate for this student, so you can see it will display only for that particular student. So here we don't have the name with lovely with the space starting as from the before the alphabet. After removing the space, we can get the answer here. So be careful with the space also. Now suppose I want to select the students from the records of all the students. Now let me show you. After displaying the record using the power function only for one student, you can see here there is no changes in the original table. So here I have used the power function for all the 3 records, but if you look at the original table, it is not changing because here we are just retrieving the records, we are not updating the records. So if you want to make changes, permanent change to the table, or maybe you can want to change any records in the table, you can use the update function. So you can learn the update function also. So here I am updating students record only for IP marks, and then here you can see all the 3 records are affected. You compare the marks, the IP marks that are there in the original table and those which are showing here after we have updated. So now you can see the marks are being updated successfully. So here all the 3 records, their IP marks are being updated. Now let us have a look at the round function of MySQL. Round function returns a number rounded to a certain number of decimal points. In this example, we have this number 34.286. Now if we want to round that number to 2 decimal points, then we'll get the output as 34.29, like this. So this is the syntax for using the round function in MySQL, whereby the decimal number is the number to be rounded and the decimal places are the number of decimal places to round. So keep in mind we need the decimal number and decimal places, and these can be negative or positive. So if the decimal place is omitted, by default it will be set to 0. So now let us have a look with few examples. So here is the first example for using the round function. So this example for 34.286, we have the decimal number 34 and the decimal places as 2. That means after 34 we have only 2 numbers. But in the second example, we did not specify the decimal places since it is optional. So there is by default the number is being rounded to 0 decimal number. So now let us have a look at the positive numbers first and then with the negative numbers. So this 34.286 is a positive number. Now if I give -2, as the decimal places. So we are getting this output. So here you can see I'm giving two negative numbers. So what happens if we provide only one negative number for the decimal numbers? So let us have a look here. If I don't provide any decimal place, then we are getting a negative output for a negative number. Now if we recall, we have the students table with these three records. Now let us have a look with the percentage of these students from the students table. So if I want to round the percentage of these students, I can use select round, then percentage, then specify the decimal place and give the table name. So here you can see in the original table there are two decimal places. The decimal place is of two decimal numbers, whereas now we are getting only one because I wrote 1. If you want 2, then you change into 2. So it is up to you to test these samples. So what if I want to select the record for few students only? So we can do that by specifying the condition. So here I'm selecting only for one student and we are getting only the percentage of that student only. So now if we try to display the records, you can see that the records are not being affected. This is because we are just retrieving the records from the table. We did not update. Now you can see it is the original table. All the records are same. So if we want to make changes in the table, we can use the update command of MySQL. So here let me show on how to use the update command. So this is just a example for the round. Now you see there is no changes if we are not using any update commands. So now let me use the update command. So by using the update command, all will be updated accordingly. If you want to update the percentage of all students, then all students' percentage will be affected. Here let me update only for one student. So I'm updating only the percentage of Nancy. Now you can compare here, the percentage is changing. So if we want to select, then you can see for Nancy, since the record has been updated, so we are getting the new information. So I hope you understand that all these functions of the maths function we can use with or without tables. We have learned the power function and the round function. So if you want to round any numbers, you can use the round function. And remember that only if you use the update command, then only the records will be updated. Otherwise, you are simply retrieving, so there is no changes in the record. But if you use update, as you can see here in this example, the records are being affected. So now let us have a look at the modulus function of MySQL. The mod function or the modulus function returns the remainder of a number divided by a divisor. So remember that the mod function returns the remainder. So for example, here we are dividing 9 by 2 and the remainder is 1. You can see here mod will return the remainder. It will not return the divisor or the dividend, but it will return the remainder. So if you want to calculate the remainder of two numbers, then you can use the mod function. As for example, you can see here, this is how to use the mod function. And the syntax also is giving here. We have mod n by m. So if I write this slash, which means dividing, so 9 divided by 2, the answer is 4. But if we use the modulus, the answer is 1. That means the remainder. So in this example, we have mod n by m, where n is the dividend and m is the divisor. So remember this syntax. First, let us have a look on how to use mod n, m without using any table. So simple, you provide the two parameters, which is the dividend and the divisor, so n and m. After n by m, now let me change here. Let me show to you on how to write n mod m. So here, this is just an example for n mod m. Next is n modulus m. So you can use the modulus operator. So let me remove the word and mod, and then I'm writing the modulus operator. So here we have the three ways for calculating or for getting the remainder of the numbers. So you remember the syntax. The first one is mod n m, second one is n mod m, and the third one is n modulus m. So we can use the mod function also with the tables. So here let me find the modulus of the IP marks of the students. So I have to specify the table name from students. So here in this example, I want to find the remainder of the IP marks. So here you can see the divisor and the dividend. The dividend is IP marks and the divisor is 2. Next, using n mod m, here the dividend is IP marks again and the divisor is 2. But the way of writing is different. So whatever you want to follow the syntax, be it mod nm or n mod m or n modulus m, it is up to you. But remember that you have to follow the syntax and provide the 2 parameters. So now let me use with the modulus operator. So see, if I display the records, there is no changes because we did not update. We are just retrieving using the select command. If you want to update, then it is up to you. You can change it by using the update command. You have learned the update command in class 11, so I'll not teach much about the update command. In this tutorial, we are discussing about the mathematical functions, which includes the power function, the round, and the mod. So here I'm just giving one example on how to update the records for students table for finding the remainder of the IP marks of the students, whereby the divisor is 2. So my dear students, that's all for the math functions. We shall meet again in the next video and we'll be discussing about the string functions and the date and time functions of MySQL. Thank you for watching and keep learning.